Well, good morning, folks, from Jeff's Little Engine Service. Good to see y'all again. I still have part of the pack here. Unfortunately, a hawk took one of them, but I took care of him. And I won't be saying any more than that. But anyways, this here is my lawnmower. It's the old Craftsman DLT 3000. Deluxe Lawn Tractor, I believe is what that stands for. Has a single cylinder Briggs & Stratton intek, 18.5 horsepower. And I've had to do all the usual stuff to this engine. Replace the camshaft, blown head gasket, yeah. But these are pretty good engines overall. It keeps chugging along. And it has the old 42-inch deck. Very common Craftsman riding lawnmower here in the Pacific Northwest, Washington State. So I attempted to mow the lawn out here. It's late fall, early winter here in the Pacific Northwest, and I wanted to mow my yard one last time. But when I went to engage the blades here, it was stiff. And instead of checking the pulley down here, unfortunately, I just kept forcing this, and I popped the cable. I'm pretty sure I popped the cable. And then I looked in here and see the way the cable's all popped out of there, and it's rusty. And you can I just pulled it out. It's broken. You could tell rust was getting in there. And this is a pretty common occurrence because what happens is that the actuator pulley on the deck, that cable pulls, which makes the belt tight. The pivot bracket on that actuator pulley gets rusted, and so it gets really stiff to pull that pulley and tighten the belt, and that's what happens is you'll break your blade engagement cable. So we need to replace that cable and service the deck so that actuator pulley moves again. Those are the mill bells in my town. The old paper mill that has been here for 100 years still has the bells that go off at noon. That's what you're hearing. The chickens will watch. Let's do it. This old Murray's pretty sweet, isn't it? Yep. Alright, so I need to get this lawn mowed today. So I think over here in the junkyard that I have an old Craftsman that has one of those cables I can use. A lot less of a junkyard these days, boys. Been cleaning things up. But yeah, there it is. Here's the end of the cable, and everything still looks good, so let's see how do we disconnect it from here. So now you have to disconnect it from under here, and if you look close you can see there's 4 bolts that hold on the bracket. And here's what the setup looks like on this side. You can see you have 2 bolts there, 2 bolts there. I have my 3/8 socket here. Alright, that bracket comes right out. Actually, I think you have to unscrew this to get it through. You probably don't need to do that. So hopefully you can see here what I'm looking at. See the cable here? So this is that whole bracket, and if you look close, you can see the cable there. It's just like your typical stop cable where you pinch the top. Alright, and this pair of pliers here is what I usually use to pinch these things and take them off. So you pinch the cable there. So I'm going to take the knob off here so I can pull this whole bracket out, make life a little bit easier for myself. It just twists off. And now I'll be able to get to this darn cable a little bit easier. And you can see it's just the old style pinch bracket that you have to squeeze together and pull the cable out. So one thing that'll make it easier to get it out of there is to remove it where it pops into the bracket here. It's just kind of a rinky-dinky setup. Hopefully it's reusable, because it just looks like you pop it in and it's like a one-time use, but we'll see what happens here. And this is important. To get this plastic piece off, you actually just you have to lift up on the bracket or give it a good whack at the right spot. But you can see that's how it's held on, so you got to pull it out. You've got to pull it off this way. Don't know if I have the right tools out here to bust out that maneuver, but we'll try. Maybe something like that. Can you see how I'm doing that, folks? I'm just rigging up a way to try and pry this off without breaking it. All right, I finally got this piece off by just by prying down on it, and it popped off. But you can see that's what it. So there's the little nub that it goes over, and that's what it looks like on that side. So yeah, it is reusable. Still working on trying to get this darn cable detached from here, however. Kind of in a bad position to try and do it. And you'd think that would be something pretty easy to do. Just pinch that thing together and pull the cable, but it's not. There we go. Oh! Okay. So I finally got this off, but you can see it came off the cable. Luckily for me and for you guys, I know a secret. Basically, these cable ends, they just screw back on. So that's a good thing to know, huh? So it won't pull out. Usually they're attached underneath the mower by a zip tie or something. So here's what we got. We have this on that end and this spring mechanism on this end. And this cable still slides nice and easy, so I'm going to put it on my rig. Yeah, this dude used a darn cotter pin to hold this cable in place underneath the mower. What a nut job. Alright, back over to this beast. Go ahead and take off the knob now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, on mine the battery's in the way because there's a battery. But I think we could still do this. So I think if I disconnect the cable down at the deck, I'll be able to pull it up through here and take off those upper parts. So let's see. Probably going to have to take off the deck, unfortunately. Which I suppose I had to do anyways to lube up that actuator pulley. Okay, so to take off this deck, you have these clips on both sides. You just simply pull them out and take the rod out. And we'll do the same to the other side. There we go, number 2. Wiggle the deck a little bit. Sometimes it helps getting those front brackets off. Okay, and let me show you. Down underneath, you have an attachment right back here. You guys can't see it, but there's a clip right there. And then there's a clip right there. And then you have this back bracket, and there's a clip right there. Brackets come off. That's not the right size clip. It's a little too small. And then we move to that one there. It's another clip that's a little too small. It's been working apparently. I wonder who put that on there. I forgot, you don't have to take off both sides of the bracket. That side can stay on. That's the only side that needs to come off, the back side. And just take that bracket off like that. Do the same thing on the other side. Wiggle the deck a little bit. That bracket should come out. Yeah, so I just lifted up the deck a little bit and I was able to get that bracket off. And now is a good time to raise the deck. I had it lowered, of course, to work on it. And by raising it, you get those brackets out of the way. See what I'm saying? You lift them up, and we should be able to slide this deck out of here. We do have to disconnect it from the pulley, which is easy enough to do. You just work the belt around the pulley and out of the keepers here, and it comes right off. So now you can just pull this deck out of here. A lot of times it gets hung up down under there. You just have to look and see what's hanging it up. Okay, so now we can get a look at how this cable attaches down on the deck. And that's the setup. You have a cotter pin here that holds it on this pulley. Just like that. And then at this back connection, you just have a clip and then this little plastic piece, and it just pulls right out. Broken. So while I'm here, I might as well hook this up. And there's a little hole in this bracket that you have to line up. Now all we have to do is hook up the top part of the cable. I'm just going to take this battery out of here. I needed a new battery anyways. Make it a little easier to get to the other part of the cable there too. Zoink. There's my strap. I don't think I was using that. I think I can pull it up far enough to swap things out. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're good to clean this thing off, get all this built up on here so it doesn't continue to rust. So you can see this is the actuator bracket, and this pivot point here was where it was stuck. It has to be able to move freely like this. Might have been too much crap piled up on the deck. That stuff is on there pretty good. I think I'm gonna hose some of it off here just so I can see what's going on. Find some good lubricant to put in there. So I have some of this Lucas red grease in a can. I'm going to try to get some in there the best I can. Well, that's better than it was. So let's go ahead and finish mounting this cable up. Well, let me go ahead and take this battery tray out so we can see where we got to poke this cable. Alright. Boy, there's a lot of stuff down in here too. It's a lot of stuff. It's good to get it out of here because this stuff will cause rust in the long run. Lots of rust. You know, I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm gonna. Clean this mess up with some water. So the only hole I can really find that's probably the one to use is this one back in the corner here. Can you see it? Where is it? Yeah, it's right there. And there it is. And you also want to be careful when you're messing with this bracket that you don't remove that spring. You want to make sure it still snaps back into place. So I'm going to go ahead and attach this clip first. So just get this clip on any way you can. It's kind of a pain in the butt, as you can see. And you just push it on. Now that I have the clip on, I'm just going to pull this cable until it clicks. It just clicked. And now Got to attach this piece, but it's all bound up. But the cable's as tight as it'll go, so I suspect that actuator pulley is in the engaged position, which I want to disengage it. So if your cable is tight like this and you don't have enough room to clip it into the hole, that probably means your actuator pulley is in the on position, so I need to go back down to the deck and move that bracket. Yeah, you can give yourself some room, clip that baby in, and we're good. Time to mount this back into place. Put these bolts back in. Got to be careful with this drill. This thing will rip these bolts right in half. So I'll finish tightening these down with a wrench. Okay. All right, I can feel it working. So now all we have to do is hook up the deck, hook up the belt, and we're ready to mow. Gotta put this battery tray back in here. Always hook up the positive cable first. That way you don't get blowed up. This was the wrong battery actually. The posts are on the other side, but this will work. Oh, don't lose that. That would set me off on a whole nother mission. I don't need any other missions. I'll go ahead and use the strap this time. Maybe. There we go. Nice and snug. Now I do want to make sure and secure that cable to the frame of the lawnmower so it doesn't get tangled up in the belt or anything like that. To get these brackets back on, a lot of times you just have to lift up the deck a little bit and then they'll fit right into place. I'm not going to show you that part because it's easy enough to do. All right, time to test this baby out.